Alright, so I will be showing you how to create isometric type in Adobe Illustrator. This type is angled and has some dimension to it, which can add a cool effect to your projects. So the first thing we need to do is create a grid to work on top of. And you can either download one that someone else has already made or make your own, which I'm just going to quickly show you. Make sure your rulers are turned on, and then we will be using guides. So we're just going to grab vertical guides and drag them out to every inch mark. Now if we were actually going to create type on top of this, we probably would want them closer together, perhaps every quarter inch, but for the demo this will suffice. Once the verticals are all there, we are going to use our line segment tool to create some diagonal guides. You want these to be at 210 degrees as well as 330, which you can achieve by copy pasting your first line and simply reflecting it. You can see it's at 330, we're all set to go. So we'll start just at the very top of our page, and we're going to place these every inch along our vertical lines. Now we'll take the other direction. These are our 330-degree lines, and we're just going to place these at the intersections of the other two guides. And you'll start to see a grid forming as we put these lines on there. And what you'll see is kind of the face of our cube here, and then some dimension backwards. And that is what you want to see. However, this is a little bit time consuming, and as you can see, it's not quite perfect. So I recommend downloading an isometric grid from the internet, which is what I have here. And I downloaded this from taylorhokanson.com. You can find it just by Googling Taylor Hokanson isometric grid for Illustrator. Once you have downloaded your grid, it'll open up in Illustrator like this. And the first thing I want to do is change the color to a light gray, which will be easier to work on top of. And then we want to go ahead and lock that layer and work on a layer above it. We're going to be writing out the word type for this demo. So I'm just starting on my T and I'm following the cubes, the face of the cubes that I see. And you could pick any height for your letters, but to achieve this look, I'm going to be doing 5 cubes tall. So for my T, my crossbar is 1, and it is 4 tall. And you see it's perfectly at the corners, which is because I have the snap to point function turned on. And you want to make sure you do this so that everything is neat and tidy. If you don't, you risk some messy lines that don't quite go to the corners they are supposed to. Now for letters with curved lines, you won't be able to achieve the curve with this type style, so you're going to need to figure out a way to do it with 90-degree angles instead. I'm just moving down the line to the P. Now with this one, make sure that you don't forget about the center of the letter. And finally our E. And for the arms of my E, I'm going to go over 3 squares. However, for the tie in the middle, I will just be going over 1 cube. And we'll just turn off our grid quickly to see what that looks like. Looks like we're on track, so we are going to go ahead and add the dimension to our letters. I'm only going to be adding 1 cube's worth of dimension, but you can do as much as you like. Just want to make sure that we add back 1 cube as well as any lines that cross to give the look of a cube. Let me just show you quickly. This is what we are looking for when we're making our letters. We want our type to look like it's made up of a lot of these little cubes. So moving right along to the Y. It is a pretty quick process. Once you do a couple, you get the groove of where they go. It is important to remember these little pieces underneath which show the correct angles within our letters. And you can see as I'm going that that little pink line pops up and says intersect when I am on the right spot. And that's what you get when you turn on the snap to point. Without that, it is a bit of a guessing game of where to put your lines, where to anchor them. And we are good to go. So we'll just turn this grid off one more time, see what we've done. Looks good to me. Now there are a lot of ways that you can go about coloring your type. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to live paint the whole object just to quickly add some color in and show you how that looks. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a color that I like. I'm just going to do kind of purpley blue. Once I have that selected, I will go to my live paint bucket. I'm going to add color to the sides of my T, on the tops of my Y, and then again back to the sides on my P and tops of my E's. It looks like I did screw up a little bit on the Y, so we'll just go to white and fix that. We want to have the tops only. So we'll pick up that blue again and correct that, and we're done. This is just one example of how you can edit your type, but you can achieve a lot of different looks depending on the dimensions that you use and the colors that you put in.